Here we go.
Here we go. Things are different now, Clark. She's all like, I'm touching your abs.
God damn.
I know.
His back muscles are crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some pull-ups after this.
Oh no, all of the male heroes, like, bodies are looking pretty
Pretty ripped.
ripped, yeah, for sure. Like, he went to the gym.
Zharnov, Ghost City not far from Moscow.
The Unity's in there. I want to plug into the Unity, one-on-one.
You'd have to stream into the Unity by yourself. I'll get inside you and find your weaknesses and your fears and use them to destroy you.
I got nothing left.
That's true. He's an orphan now. So I want to call Superman. Is that real, Mom?
They wanted me back for a reason. I need to find out why.
His hair. I love that Barry can't hide his excitement. He's all like...
Finally. Oh shit. Oh man.
Let's go! Oh, cue the music! Yes! All right. Go.
Oh shit.
Nice! Always get like hyped when I hear her music. Like I hear the drums and I'm just like, ah! Oh my god!
You're welcome. Amen.
I was thinking like, yes, it's a different type of surfing. Let's go. He's just like, does a little hair flip. Oh. Oh, we got two.
Me. Round two. Hell yeah.
Fight. Let's go. Don't let him bait you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Barry, I'm in position.
Oh no. Protect him.
Get the hell off me! I can't maintain this!
One.
Victor, I can't hold this! For the dark side.
Come on, Kal-El. Yes.
Oh shit.
What? You just.
Oh shit.
Yes. Kapow. Ouch.
I'm connected to the Unity!
Now, Barry, now. No. Oh.
Barry, are you okay?
I got the wind knocked out of me. Need a few seconds, that's all.
Oh no.
It's almost synchronized!
Okay.
Uh-oh. That's only dark side.
It's too late.
Gosh, I don't think I blinked.
We've been waiting for you, Victor. My broken boy.
I'm not broken.
Everybody, come on. Okay, that works.
Damn.
Oh, she sent him back. Oh! Now what?
Anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
Okay.
Now, let me speak to you from my heart, not as a scientist, as a father. Your father, twice over. You can't imagine how proud I am of who you are. So many years with you I wasted, so many wrongs I've left unrighted. Everything changes.
go see my father.
The world is hurt, broken, unexchangeable.
Ship's all yours now, kid. You're the boss. Ryan Choi, Director of Nanotechnology. That's your thing.
Oh, yeah, that's my thing.
But the world's not fixed in the past, only the future.
Big round table. 6 chairs. Right there. What?
It's actually the worst job you can get in a crime lab, but my foot's in the door.
This is like a job.
Job.
Your foot's in the door.
Isn't that a thing people say?
Your foot's in the door. Yeah, that's something people say, man. His foot's in the door!
Thank you, Liz. How did you get the house back from the bank? I bought the bank.
'Cause I'm rich, bitch.
Couldn't just buy the house.
Do this, be this, the man I never was, the hero you are.
It's not as much of a statement.
Among the brave ones, the ones that were, that are yet to be. Fight, discover, heal, love, win.
So, like, how does Clark Kent come back, though? How do you explain that? I got
'Cause Clark-
questions.
I mean, just run with it.
Okay, I'm running with it.
Come on, Luther. Let's go. Luther! Open up 2, Carl, please.
No, dude.
Luther!
I don't have a good feeling about this.
All right, stop jerking around, Luther. I'm gonna have to come in there.
That was scary.
I heard you were a few clowns short of a circus.
I was. Thank you. Until the good doctors at Arkham helped me find some much needed clarity. Now, you volunteered to destroy the bat free of charge. Why the pro bono work?
It's personal.
Here is something that can help you. His name is Bruce Wayne.
On second thought.
Oh.
Where? How much further?
We're almost there.
We need to hurry. We can't be out in the open much longer. He'll come for us.
Let the bastard come. I'll stab this through his heart for what he did Arthur.
I understand how you feel, Mira. But we have to stick to the plan to have any chance to make this right.
Okay.
Have you ever loved?
Au contraire, my little fish stick. He knows exactly what it's like to lose someone he loves. Like a father.
Oh, yeah.
Like a mother.
Be very careful with the next thing you say.
Like an adopted son. Isn't that right, Batman?
That's not very careful.
Now, how many dead eyes can you look into before you die inside yourself?
And if you cross that line, I swear to God.
Before what, Bruce? Kill me? You don't want to kill me. I'm your best friend. How many alternate timelines do you destroy the world? Because, frankly, you don't have the colonies to die yourself. So as usual, I'll be the bigger man. A truce, Bruce.
Still think it was a good idea bringing him along.
He's found us.
Uh-oh. What does it mean?
Can I help you? I'm sure you know Darkseid is not finished with Earth. The anti-life equation is here somewhere. We have to find it before he does. Who are you again? I've gone by many names and taken many forms. And like you, I've realized I have a stake in this world. And it's time I started fighting for it. I'll be in touch. And some have called me the Martian Manhunter.
Okay. Oh.
Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We're talking about ZACK SNYDER'S Justice League. Finally, we get to talk about this movie. We were waiting so anxiously to watch it. I think this was the most excited I've ever been for a Zack Snyder film. That excitement, that hype certainly paid off because I really, really liked it a lot. I think this is the first Zack Snyder film that I had loving feelings for.
Wow.
Because having watched most of his movies, you know, there were films of his that I enjoyed. This was the first one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I know there's a lot of Zack Snyder fans out there, many of whom are probably watching this review, criticizing me for not liking him more. I have my reasons for not liking his previous films. This is the first one that I want to buy because I really liked it. And also HBO Max's streaming quality wasn't quite 4K, even though they promised 4K. So, you know, no shade, but come on.
No shade, but shade thrown.
Yeah, but it's like, it says 4K Dolby Atmos and all this nonsense, and I'm like, okay, but it looks like VHS to me, you know, and it's not because of the aspect ratio, which is another thing that we should talk about at some point. But yeah, that's the non-spoiler stuff as far as I'm concerned. I liked it a lot. I think it's definitely worth watching all 4 hours of it. Could it be shorter? Sure, it could be shorter, but I still really enjoyed it. It was like the extended director's cut as far as I'm concerned. So it's like, why not just have it all be this thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it is. It's an extended director's cut. And I think that the things that were added into it really helped with understanding the characters and getting you emotionally invested in them. So I thought that it was really important. For Zack Snyder having been as involved with the DCEU for so long, it just feels right to let him kind of share what he envisioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I can't be certain that I appreciate this movie as much as I do because of its own merits or because of the comparison to the initial release that came out of Justice League, which we watched 3 times because of all the different things. Like, we went to the premiere and then we went to 2 different screenings of it. So we had watched that movie. And then this one, it's like, this hits you in a different way because it's not trying to be a Marvel film, which is what the other one felt like it was doing.
Yeah, I mean, saying that though, I will say that when I first watched it, I actually really enjoyed it, but I think that's also a lot to do with the fact that I generally just enjoy the Marvel films because they tend to be a lot lighter hearted. I did enjoy Man of Steel, the first half, the emo stuff, which you said you didn't enjoy as much, but I'm into that emo stuff. And so it just had a different vibe, but this one definitely kind of explored more of the emotions and it took a different take, which I really appreciated.
Right. Well, the thing about the other Justice League that was sorely lacking was just any depth, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, with Cyborg, you got that whole backstory that it's like, how could you cut that out? And I you know, from what I've read, I could understand what Joss Whedon was trying to do. He was taking these studio notes and just trying his damnedest to implement them.
Yeah.
But this is the version that should be watched. And having seen both, I'm like,
this is the definitive one.
Well, the stuff that was taken out, there's a lot of stuff that was taken out where I'm like, how could you think it was a good idea not to have that in the movie? Anybody that finalized the first version of this that came out, how could you think that that's how this should go and it will make sense. It's so much heart was just taken out of the movie that was just stripped, and it's like, why would you? That's what made this work so well to me. I'm wondering how I would have felt about this movie if this was the only version that I saw. I think I still would have liked it a lot. I think that I like it more because of the initial cut that we got.
Sure, yeah.
That sort of can't be helped.
It's interesting as well how, at least for me, I felt like the angle that Snyder took with this was, yeah, it's superheroes, but it's also at its heart family drama,
right?
Which I really liked. And the surprising thing was, in the Whedon cut, Cyborg wasn't even like the main hero, and here in the Snyder cut, he's like
very important.
A very important part
right.
of the whole thing.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool. It's like, it's completely different.
Right. Well, what's interesting is in the original version, I liked Aquaman more.
Yeah.
Here, the way they show, the more they showed of Aquaman here, I'm like, he's kind of a doofus. And he keeps saying all the wrong things. At no point in the movie did he say anything that was smart in terms of like furthering the plan. He was always like the negative Nancy in the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was a bit of a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, the entire movie, and I suppose it makes sense because he didn't even really want to be there. He was there reluctantly.
Yeah.
But like at no point did he have a transition. And for 4 hours of movie, it's like you'd hope that he would have a transition of some kind, other than like, I'm on the team too. You know.
And like severely kicking ass. Like he was pretty cool at the end.
I mean, he was kicking ass from the get-go. He put Batman against the wall. Like there was no point in the film where I was like, well, he can't kick ass, right? Like he always seemed badass from the very start of the movie to the very end. So there was really no change in character there. But I suppose when you have a film with like a huge cast like this, it's hard to do that, even with 4 hours of runtime. The scene with Flash rescuing the girl, I can see why that was left on the cutting room floor initially. It didn't really need to be in the movie. It was fun, it was cool, it was like, you know, spectacle and all that. But because it never came back around, I was like, well, this really didn't need to be in the movie then. It's just taking up more time. And so this to me was like Zack Snyder just putting everything he would have put in if no cutting notes had come in at all, right?
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that. There's something cool about that. But I think that would have been a scene that I'd just have left out, just because it never comes back up. If it came back up even a little bit, just a smidge, where at the end he meets up with that girl again, then I'm like, all right, cool, you got me. Then that scene made sense. But he never makes contact ever again. And so it's like, why did we need to see him get this job other than he's trying to get work? Like, it can be implied, you know, like it was initially. Anyway, that's beside the point. What I want to get to is Cyborg. So there's this scene towards the end of the film when he's talking to the mother box or something.
Yeah.
And he's inside of it.
The Unity.
You know, yeah. When he said, "I'm not broken," I was like, but now I am. Just like, it was so emotional. I was like, I had to fight tears a number of times while watching this movie, which was bizarre. I'm like, is Zack Snyder actually pulling on my heartstrings successfully here? It was shocking to me because my criticism of Zack Snyder is he doesn't get human beings. Like, the most emotion that I probably would have felt was in Man of Steel when his father dies. But in that scene, I was just sort of like, I don't understand why you have to die. He's like faster than the speed of light, or not speed of light, but faster than a moving train, faster than a speeding bullet, blah, blah, blah. Like he
has to die because he has to die. Like he can't just go around saving his dad.
You're not letting me finish. Like he could have easily like just dipped out, right? It's like, okay, well, and slipped behind someone and then and gotten his dad. Physics, who cares? You know, it's like he could have saved him. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. And I'm sure I'm gonna get a downvote just for saying that. I'm just being honest with you. I don't get why his dad had to die in that movie, and that's why I was like, the one emotional part I could have felt from a Zack Snyder film, I didn't feel it. The reason I bought Man of Steel, as I've said many times, is because of the Dragon Ball-esque fight scenes. Nothing else. Not the action at the end, not the emotional stuff. Just those fight scenes because I like watching that stuff. Right to that chapter. Rewind. You know. And Batman vs Superman, I liked the Ultimate Edition better, but I wouldn't say it's a movie I'd want to watch again, you know?
Right.
What else did he do? This is with the 300 and, you know, whatever.
But back to this, it was totally emotional, even from the beginning. Like with Superman's death, I was just like, ugh. And then that part when Aquaman leaves that fishing town and goes back into the ocean, and then those women were singing that beautiful a cappella song, I was just like, I feel so sad. Like his use of music in this was really interesting because he chose a lot of really mournful sounding songs, like soundtrack, right? Which sometimes can take you out of the movie, and occasionally there were moments I was like, oh, that's interesting. Why is he choosing this particular song? But I think for the most part, it just really helped to get you in the mood that he wanted you to be in.
I think one of the biggest things I feel with Zack Snyder films in general is that his films can be very glum and like, ugh. And here it was that, but in a way that wasn't off-putting.
Yeah.
It was in a way that I felt. I don't know why. I don't know what he did different. It just felt better balanced. Like this was a very for being 4 hours long. It was a much more balanced film. I like Ben Affleck as Batman this time around, and I didn't in other installments. Not in Batman v Superman, not in the original Justice League that came out, before. Like for some reason, the way it was put together here, maybe it was different takes. I don't know what, but it just worked for me in a very, very strong way. Where I'm like, oh yeah, I see him as Batman. Now I see like the Batman that Zack Snyder sees. This is cool to me.
Well, I think it's also that the characters had a really strong sense of purpose, and it wasn't even just like an overarching big picture purpose. It was things that were really personal. Yeah. Like Batman feels a strong sense of responsibility, and I mean, like, yes, that is like a higher purpose, but then he's also trying to keep his promise to Superman, right? And we can understand that feeling. And then with Cyborg, there's the whole thing with his family and his dad, and that kind of like chip on his shoulder that he has about his dad, and that relationship there was really beautiful. Yeah. Who else? Flash. The whole thing with his dad too, I really liked. And he was just great, like comedic relief. That family theme is the thread that ties us all together, not just all the superheroes, which makes them feel more accessible to us. Because I think a lot of the time with the DC heroes, they're just so perfect. Like Wonder Woman's a freaking cross between an Amazon and a god. Superman is basically a god. They're all like
larger than life.
So larger than life with their superpowers and that. And then it's like they're being brought back down to earth with family, and then like we're all family too. Like like globally, I don't know. Maybe that's a dumb reference.
There's certainly something to that. I mean, there was that whole scene with Cyborg helping out that lady who was just trying to take care of her family.
Yeah.
And Greg made a whole video about just that thing and how it like really messed him up. Like he was very emotional about that specific scene in the film, and I get why.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense, especially off of what he was saying. If you haven't seen the video, he gets into it. I liked that. That is something that would typically be left on the editing room floor, and it was nice to see that included here. It's like this is a film that can take its time to breathe and really explore the things that it wants to explore, because that totally would have been edited out. If it was just the Zack Snyder cut from the beginning, it wouldn't have been 4 hours. I think it would have been 3 at the most, and that would have been left out for sure.
Yeah, well, because it doesn't really move the story forward, but it helps us to understand who Cyborg is as a guy, right? Because his mom says, you have a good heart. Yeah. Like ultimately, and you see that, and it's a beautiful thing that he does for someone that's just trying to get by and is really struggling. Yeah.
There was some humor in the initial release of Justice League that I liked, that put a smile on my face or made me laugh, that I think could have still fit here, but it's obviously not Zack Snyder's vision, so I guess it made sense not to have it. The line where Batman's on the floor saying, definitely bleeding, because Superman asks him, do you bleed? That was gone, and then the stuff with Flash and Superman trying to save people, obviously it didn't make any sense anymore because it was an empty town. So that got changed up. It's fine. That's fine. There was some stuff near the end of the film that I wonder how your average person that's not into sci-fi would have received it, because there's this sequence when everything kind of blows up, and then Flash moves backwards through time to fix stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like did they ever explain in this film how Flash can move backwards through time?
He explained like his fear or something of moving too quickly because it can alter the fabric of time or something if he moves too quickly. That's something that he kind of gives away as a little bit of exposition in the movie, but so much happens that it's really easy to just kind of forget that if you're not like really, really listening hard and paying attention the whole time.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't have a problem with it is because, well, I mean, there's the old Superman with Christopher Reeves, where he saves Lois by flying the other direction and spinning Earth the other way for a second, which doesn't make any physics sense. But also I have some understanding of like the way light speed works and stuff like that. Very, very cursory understanding. Enough to go, I get that, what happened there. I mean, he's Flash and he can move, you know, the speed of light and all that stuff. So I get it. That works. That's why I was like, for you, I was wondering how you felt about that, but you just remembered that line.
Yeah, because I heard him say that. He said it a couple of times throughout the film, and literally like right before that moment, he said something about like being afraid of disrupting time or whatever. And I was like, screw it.
One of the cool things about this version of the movie is particularly in the last fight of the film, it really felt like there was this camaraderie between all the characters and they were all working together, and it was more cohesive than I felt like it was in Justice League. One of the persisting issues that I felt from the initial release that is still present here, and maybe this is me being nitpicky, is the transition from angry Superman to gentle Superman. It still seemed quick. You know, it was like if you compare it to, I hate to do this, but if you compare it to like Avengers Age of Ultron, when Scarlett Johansson calms Hulk down, it's a process. And it felt like that happened kind of abruptly. As soon as Lois showed up, Superman's calm. He's like, oh, let's bounce out of here. And he's just cool. Like within seconds of the movie, it felt like he was just back to good. I suppose for it being 4 hours, it's fine. But because it's 4 hours, I was expecting that process to take a bit more time. The part where Steppenwolf shows up right after that to take the last mother box.
Yeah.
In the original Justice League that came out, that scene just flies by. It's like as if there's no conflict. He just takes it and leaves.
Yeah.
Like shows up in the background and then takes off. There's no other scene tying with his dad dying right in front of him. And he, you know, like that scene was so interesting because he goes into the room with the mother box and sets it off. And I'm like, why is he doing that? And I was, for a moment, I'm like, this movie's dumb. Like, why is he killing himself? Why does he have to die? But then they explain it 2 seconds later. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, because I was like, when that happened, literally the thought went through my head. I'm like, why would he do that though?
Yeah.
The mother box like takes all the energy. You're a smart scientist. You know everything about this. This doesn't make any sense. And then when Cyborg gets it, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
The most heartbreaking thing.
It was a self-sacrifice.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I liked it a lot. I thought that his monologue at the end, the dad's monologue at the end off the tape was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice touch. There's a lot of heart in this movie. It was just fantastic how he was able to weave all this together with the theme that we've been coming back around to over and over again, because that's the emotional hook. And the fact that you can do that with a film about superheroes is great.
Well, I think as well, what's worth mentioning, you know, with the whole tragedy with his daughter, right? And seeing the For Autumn come up at the end of the movie, it was a really beautiful tribute.
Right.
You know, to be able to take that pain of surrounding that and that time and to create something beautiful about people who are, you know, larger than life and grounding it in family and just making something really lovely in memory of his daughter. I think what more can you do?
Right.
You know, in her memory.
The whole stuff with Joker at the end was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
Like that epilogue to the epilogue was cool. The way Jared Leto did Joker this time around, I liked better than in Suicide Squad. Don't know why. I just thought it was a much better, to me it was a totally different performance of Joker.
I liked him. Now, I've never watched Suicide Squad because everyone was going, it's terrible. And since I didn't catch it in opening weekend, I was like, thanks you guys, I guess I'll give it a miss. So I don't have anything to compare that with.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't know that it really necessarily fit with the rest of the film, but I liked that performance a lot. You know, and that whole scene was quite interesting. I didn't really care for the F-bomb that Batman dropped in there at the end, but it's like, I know that I'm the only one who's gonna say that, but I still felt it. I'm like, oh, Batman cussed. Okay, I guess that had to happen. It was just sort of like weird. I know it's rated R, and this is the, like, if Zack Snyder can do all the rated R things that he wants to do, for some reason it was like, oh, the violence, all right, yeah, blood, guts, whatever, cool.
Yeah, not as bothered by that.
But the F word bugged me for some reason, and it's just like when that one of the DC advertisements where Robin says "fuck Batman." I'm just like, why do you have to say that? It's just like some part of my brain goes, and it's probably just conditioning because I'm not used to seeing these superheroes cuss that way. It's just, I guess it's just more grown up. I don't know. In the initial Justice League, it felt like Jason Momoa getting to what's her face, Johnny Depp's ex-wife.
Amber Heard.
Him arriving to talk to her. It felt very compressed in the initial Justice League, as it would have, given that it was a much shorter runtime. The way things evolved in this film felt much better. It made a lot more sense. It didn't feel rushed, and I think that was my biggest issue with Batman v Superman when I first watched it, like them just trying to wedge in this Justice League thing, and then watching the initial release of Justice League, you know, it's like things took its time more, and so just the way his story developed felt right. It was like he was slowly moving towards this thing, as opposed to all of a sudden he's into it and he cares and he's part of the Justice League now. You know what I mean? Like he was dealing with more shit, and like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense. There was like, I guess all the scenes that they put in just helped me to appreciate his plot more. I just wanted him to have an arc, which I didn't get.
Right, yeah, got it.
You know, there was an arc a little bit, because he says he's gonna go back to talk to his dad. And I think he had an issue with his dad.
That's true.
So there was somewhat of an arc there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think the whole thing is like the movie just gave the story room to breathe, because it's such a huge story with so many characters and like so many questions about how they joined together, and so they just really took their time with that.
The black Superman outfit.
It looks good.
It was awesome. It was so cool to see that. That was the part that got me cheering. I was just very, very happy to see that. See, and like all the way to the rest of the movie, I'm like, yes! I was so happy about the black Superman outfit.
See, I was stoked about Wonder Woman because she's my favorite. So every time Wonder Woman came on the screen, I was just like, yes! And Amazons, I was like, yes!
Oh, that whole sequence with the Amazonian ladies, like trying to save the mother box.
Really cool, I thought.
It was like expanded on and done so much better.
It was emotional.
Yeah.
Like that scene also like had me on the verge of crying, because it was just like the stakes were so high, and they established that right from the beginning of the movie, like just how important guarding the boxes was, and like what they were willing to lose, how much they lost, you know, taking his time with that. I was just like, oh.
There are three things that I think that are negatives for me. I don't know that they're huge negatives, but the first thing is, during some of the action sequences, it felt like the editing could have been tighter, which is ironic coming from me. It's like, because like normally my issues with action in film is that it's too tight. It's like chop, 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 chop.
Right.
Here it was the opposite problem, where it just felt a little too loose. Like it needed to be tightened up just a smidge, just to feel a little bit more. This is particularly in the first hour of the movie, is when I noticed it. It just could have been a little bit tighter. It would be hard for me to point out exactly which one it is without watching the movie again and doing like a commentary about it.
Right.
The second thing is when Diana does her voiceover narrating the war that took place. That voiceover, I wish she did a re-recording of it, because it was almost like she was in conversation and then went into narration and then went back into conversation again when they were cutting back to her conversation with Batman. It felt a little clunky to me, and it was worse because her narration over the war sequence wasn't very inspiring. It didn't feel very strong. It felt like the very first practice read she did of that text, they went with it, right?
Okay.
And then them getting rid of Darkseid in that war sequence, it felt a little quick. I wish that for the movie being as long as it was, I wish that sequence was just a little bit longer, so it felt a little bit more harrowing in pushing him back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the last thing was the format. I get why they did this format. I understand the reasons and what Zack Snyder's intention was, but the fact of the matter is, he didn't shoot it in IMAX. And so even if you watch it in IMAX, I don't know that it's gonna have the same texture, the same quality as IMAX, because he's blowing up, if I'm not mistaken, he's blowing up 35mm film up to IMAX proportions, which is a much larger film format. So what you're gonna get is a grainier image. I understand that he likes that format a lot, and I get why, it makes a lot of sense. I wish he had shot this in IMAX, because they have digital IMAX now, and, you know, with that format. And the reason I mention that is because those cameras are quieter, and so you can have your dialogue sequence and whatnot. Nolan still shoots film. That's why he cuts back and forth between formats. And so, because the film version of IMAX is very, very loud. So me personally, I would have rather had seen this in like a proper widescreen aspect ratio, maybe shot with an anamorphic lens or something like that, because that's just more cinematic to me. I did get used to the aspect ratio after a while, but it was still, every now and then I was sort of pulled out. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like an old TV, you know? I didn't love that, honestly. I know that most people won't be bothered by it, and most people will really appreciate it, but for me, I prefer either 16:9 or 2:3:9 or just widescreen format. I think is much cooler, especially for this kind of movie. I thought it would have been really cool. That being said, there were moments where the 4:3 aspect ratio I did feel helped for composition to see more in the frame.
Right.
There were moments where I was like, oh, okay, I get why he did this here. But for most of the film, I'm just like, I take it or leave it. I didn't love the 4:3 aspect ratio. I just prefer widescreen. Those are my 3 complaints. I mean, outside of the, you know, and
Well,
you know.
I only have one like minor complaint, but it's just like some of these slow-mos felt a little bit excessive. But then again, I'm watching a Zack Snyder film. I know who I'm watching.
Right.
It's okay.
I could see that too. There were some moments where I was like, this doesn't need to be, but that kind of just washed over me.
Yeah.
I didn't care so much
After a
about
while,
that.
I'm like, you know what? It's all right. Like I can
Yeah.
appreciate the beauty of, you know, Wonder Woman doing this gorgeous flip over, who was it, Steppenwolf, or, you know, that whole sequence with Barry Allen saving the girl in the car and
Yeah.
all of that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's a choice. It's fine. If you cut it a bit, you might save a few minutes, but we're already here for 4 hours,
Yeah.
so may as well.
I guess two other nitpicky things is I would have moved the scene with Martha and Lois to being earlier in the film, because it felt like that scene showed up right before Superman comes back. I would have planned that earlier.
Right.
Because it's like we don't see Lois for like 3 hours, and then she comes back into the movie. I would have dropped it in like hour 2 or something, or somewhere, you know, just a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe with Zack Snyder's vision, it had to be there. I don't know. And then the very last thing is the music. Like there were some parts where the music was really cool, but overall there wasn't a theme to Justice League that I remember. Like you remember the Avengers theme song, you remember Batman, the Tim Burton theme song. Superman's theme is kind of memorable. The Wonder Woman theme song is definitely memorable.
Oh, that got me hyped.
There's no Justice League theme song that I'm like, oh, that's the JL theme song, you know?
But saying that though, what I will say is that they did a great job with cueing the heroes with the music.
Sure.
Because I knew exactly whose moment it was to shine by what music was being played. So when Wonder Woman was coming up, it starts coming out, it was like, boom, boom.
Yeah, but is that...
And it's like, do-do-do-do, and I'm like, yes! And then like, you know, Aquaman's got his rock music, Cyborg's got that kind of like slight techno feel, like everyone's got their little bit, and I remember watching it and thinking, oh, that's really interesting how they've like very subtly like interwoven, but there isn't a Justice League
Right.
theme song that I can think of.
Right. Anyway, overall, I like the movie a lot, and I intend to buy it on 4K Blu-ray when it's available, because I'd like to watch it in the most pristine quality possible, and this time with my surround sound system, because I was listening to it on headphones for the recording. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and hopefully you enjoyed that review, and if you didn't, I'm sorry.